Question three, the best question of the episode. We're going to debate the best comedian. All right, and it could be of all time too. So we have the best comedian that we thought was that we love. And first things first, Evan, go first.
Okay, so I like comedy. I really do. There's a lot of comedians that I like, and it was very hard for me to just kind of lay down one. But my pick for favorite comedian, the hardest I've ever laughed, was at Gabriel Iglesias. Now, for those who don't know, Gabriel Iglesias, he also goes by Fluffy. He is I think he's like 6 foot tall, but like 380-pound man who always wears Hawaiian shirts. And one of his jokes was he always wears Hawaiian shirts because, well, they fit. And he went to Hawaii one time and got confused with a Hawaiian person. So he's just funny, but you have to be in that kind of humor. He makes fun of a lot of Hispanic stereotypes. He makes fun of a lot of big guy stereotypes because that's what he is. He's a Hispanic big guy. He's very funny. He's got multiple specials. He has a TV show on Netflix called Mr. Iglesias where he plays he plays a history teacher at a high school. He's not – I would say that he's probably not going to be as recognized as some of the other names that are going to be named in this part of the episode. But personally for me, I enjoy Gabriel Iglesias. He does a lot of good voices. He just makes people laugh and has a good time about it. So, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. I'm going to continue to eat my dry top ramen.
CJ's on you.
All right. Yeah. Now I know who Gabriel Iglesias is. I love me some Fluffy. I've seen all his specials. Yeah. The thing is, like, most of his fan base came from, his YouTube channels and his Comedy Central specials. Anybody can get a channel on YouTube. And
no, that's literally true.
And they give out Comedy Central specials like Tic Tacs back in the day. So yeah, it was. Yeah, so that's how he built himself up. Now he's doing good and everything, but his specials now look like they're being shot on an iPhone. I think if he was a real star, he'd actually have some production value and some fucking shit. So yeah, he's definitely not the best comedian of all time. He's good. I give him that. He's good. He made me laugh, but no. Put some work into your show.
So I'm gonna go next. And I don't know how Joe feels. I know TJ said he likes him.
Oh, you're gonna know.
Obviously, I hate his comedy with a passion. I hate his comedy with a passion. Okay, maybe it's me. So my first thing I'm gonna say is maybe it's me, but I don't like anybody that don't curse in your comedy. Okay, one of us have a comedian that basically from one of his stand-ups invented the cussing period. So but if you don't curse in your stand-up, I cannot fuck with you. All right. That's the first thing.
Let me ask you a question, Dre. You say you don't like a comedian that doesn't curse, but you like Will Smith, a rapper who doesn't cuss.
Whoa. I said like Will Smith movies. I didn't say like his damn his
okay. Okay, touche. I was gonna say Jacques.
Outside of Summertime was a good movie. I mean, a good song. Plus, Will remix was fantastic. So that's not here nor there. Okay, I don't like anybody that doesn't curse in their stand-up. Me personally, if you don't curse, I can't fuck with you. With that being said, also since he doesn't curse, it just makes his stand-ups dry. It just makes it super dry, and then to me, it makes it super boring. I got a friend, Dwight, and his wife that loves Fluffy, and I try to go to one of his shows that he came in Temple, and it was god damn it, they was busting the gut, but I was like, when's this shit over? Because I didn't like it.
Really,
I didn't like it at all.
Wow.
Joe's on you.
So I actually first was aware of him through Last Comic Standing, which I think was the first time he was probably on TV that a lot of people got to know him.
Mm-hmm.
But I hate to go all statistics on your ass, but if you look at the Rolling Stone top 50 comics of all time, you know what I'm going to say. Not on the list.
Also, arguably, out of all the choices on here, I believe he's the newest comic out of all
That's
four
the
of the
thing.
choices.
Okay, so that's the thing, right? If we're talking Hall of Fame, he's maybe like he's like a Bobby Bonds, not Barry, Bobby. It's like a Felipe Alou
Ouch.
or an Ellis
Ouch.
Burks. He's like in the Hall of Very Good, but not in the Hall of Fame, and that's my problem. Yeah.
So I will say this though. I don't find his stand-ups funny. However, his part in A Hundred House 2, it was hilarious. I give him that.
He's good in movies.
Yeah, I didn't really see him in anything else, but A Hundred House
Magic Mike too. He's the DJ in both Magic Mikes.
I am not watching Magic Mike.
Oh, DeAndre,
Real, why are you watching Magic Mike?
with the shit you post on TikTok, you're basically auditioning for Magic Mike. Okay,
It doesn't matter. It's my
Hey,
body.
be on it and watch it. Two different things.
It's my body. Okay, all right. I'm not gonna watch. I'm not gonna pay somebody to watch somebody else's body. All right, this is my body.
I'm also married, and my wife says if I don't watch movies with her, I get a divorce. So I do watch what she wants to watch sometimes, and she wanted to watch Magic Mike. I've also watched 50 Shades. There's nothing wrong with it.
I watch 50 Shades of Black.
I've seen that too, but I'm talking about Gray.
All right. Next, CJ's on you.
All right. I said the best comedian of all time is Kevin Hart. Now, since comedy is subjective, it's kind of hard to determine like how to judge like who the best comedian is. But, like, there's two really main ways. Who can draw the crowd, and who got the fucking money. Now, if we're going by that, February 2020, this fucking year, Kevin Hart was a fucking wealthiest fucking comedian of all time.
Yep.
Yes. So right there, he's got it, fucking hands down. Now, if you're going by drawing a crowd, not only did he sell out Madison Square Garden, but he's the first and only comic who fucking headlined a football fucking stadium and sell that motherfucker out. Only one to do it. Yeah, that's all need to be said. He's the shit.
Fuck Kevin Hart. All right, listen. So, so I want to say this with the so Kevin Hart's first three mainstream stand-ups were fantastic. They were hood favorites, and I'm saying that because people they call it. They was hood favorites. There was Raw. He just didn't care. He said, "Hey, he wanted." But then he got Hollywood, and then when you get Hollywood, you get to change shit, and it sucks. His last couple stand-ups, even though he sold everything, like yes, he sold the one in Philly, at the stadium in Philly. I know, but it wasn't good. People liked him because he was Kevin Hart. I mean, his name was already big already. I do like some of Kevin Hart's movies, but none. I need to go like, oh, I need to go see Kevin Hart. Like, plus, a lot of them. I don't know. He seemed like a punk in most of his stand-ups too. Like a lot of things he says seem like a little punk, and I don't know. It's just, I'm not a big fan of Kevin Hart. Joe, you next.
To me, the best Kevin Hart ever was the, what was it? One scene, two scenes he had in 40-Year-Old Virgin. No, he was better than that. What annoys me about him is he's I don't know how to say this without lumping a whole bunch of other people in. It's like more of a modern comic in that he's not averse to I'm going to say it's selling out. He does all these commercials, and it seems like it kind of just dilutes his brand because I don't recall. I mean, think of the great comics of old. I don't recall a lot of them doing a lot of commercials. I don't know. It could just be a thing with me, but it just sort of annoys me. So I don't know. It's just not my favorite.
All right, Evan.
The first thing I saw about Kevin Hart was I think it was I'm a Grown Little Man. Special was good. Let Me Explain was good. Like Dre said, then he got Hollywood. I like Kevin Hart better as an actor than I do as a comedian. I think Kevin Hart is much better as an on-screen presence than someone who's trying to be funny. Kevin Hart is a funny person. Do not get me wrong, but he's forced. It's forced funny nowadays. You know, I think he's trying too hard to still be that comedian Kevin Hart that he was when he isn't that anymore. He's Hollywood Kevin now. I love Kevin Hart in Jumanji. You know, I like Kevin Hart in Night School. I liked Kevin Hart in, like I said, I like Kevin Hart in the movies. Central Intelligence with him and The Rock, when fucking he plays, you know, the rich and successful dude, or oh god, what's that? Is it Ride Along that he's with Ice Cube? You want the hammer? I mean, like I said, he's good in movies, but in terms of a stand-up comedian, I just when I look at what the best comedians of all time that I feel is, I don't think he touches like a Richard Pryor. I don't think he touches, you know, any of those prolific comedians. One that's still to become, two actually that are still to come. I just don't see him as like a Mount Rushmore type. But actor wise, and yeah, funny story actually. Kevin Hart came to Portland 2018. Tax return season hit 2018. 18. I almost purchased 2 tickets front row to Kevin Hart for $900. Glad I did. Because from what I heard, his show in Portland was not great. And that was when he was doing, I think that was his What Now tour or whatever. And that special was trash. So Kevin Hart, good actor, not the greatest comedian.
All right. Joe's your comedian.
I am going to go old school white guy again, as if you didn't know this was coming. Mine is a guy who was on the very first ever episode of Saturday Night Live and who kept it going all the way till he died, George Carlin. And you talk about iconic bits. There's the 7 dirty words. And I can remember my dad used to have a big record player where you'd stack them all up and they'd drop down one at a time. And he mostly had country, but every so often the weird one would drop on there, like the soundtrack to South Pacific and George Carlin, and the 7 dirty words came on. And I always knew that when we got to the last track on side 1, which was where that was, I would have to go up to bed because he wouldn't let me hear what the 7 dirty words were. Spoiler alert, later I did. But my favorite George Carlin bit ever was Idiots and Maniacs, and I use it to this day. Anyone who's driving slower than you on the road is an idiot. Everyone who's driving faster than you is a maniac. And he kept it going until he kept doing new hours, and he got pretty curmudgeonly and disgruntled in his old age, which I can very much sympathize with, as if you can't tell. And I don't know, it's just something that I had early on, and I always loved him.
So I'm gonna go first. It's going to be super hard for me to talk shit about George Carlin. George Carlin to me is one of the most funniest people I've ever heard in my life. I'm going back to 7 dirtiest words. 7 dirtiest words. Oh my God. Classic of one classic. If you haven't heard it, please. It's not for the faint of heart. But I wouldn't tell you to go watch it.
Well, no, it's the 7 dirty words. I mean, come on.
But it's amazing. My only thing bad about George Carlin, I feel like in different cultures, he doesn't get the respect that he deserves. Because if you ask a bunch of black people the top 5 comedians, George Carlin is not going to be on there. Actually, not a lot of white comedians. Like even Rob Williams should be up there. However, George Carlin doesn't get a lot of credit as he deserved. That's my only thing. He was mainstream back in the day, but when back in the day it gets to today, you started forgetting names, and I feel like he's one of the names that people start forgetting. That's my only thing I have about George Carlin. Evan, it's on you.
You've come to the portion of the show where I don't know too much about this person. George Carlin, from the bits I've seen, bits and pieces on YouTube and stuff like that when I was doing research, funny guy.
What are you, like 25 years old? What is
Hey, 27.
All right.
I was just not the guy who watched a whole lot of stand-ups until much later. And if you want to know how I remember George Carlin, he was the architect in Scary Movie 3. That's how I know George Carlin, and I know George Carlin from Bill and Ted movies. So it's kind of like the same boat with Kevin Hart. I knew him better as an actor than I did as a comedian, and I feel like I have actually a station on my Pandora because I think I have like the most diverse music palette in the world. I have a comedy station on Pandora that just plays random comedy acts, and George Carlin does come up all the time, and I laugh hysterically to his shit. But I like it, when I want to laugh, he's not the first person I seek out. And for me, to determine someone, in my opinion, the best comic of all time, it has to be someone that I'm actively seeking out when I need a laugh. And just at that, as of now, George Carlin isn't on it. So, with all due respect, he's good. He makes me laugh, but he's not someone I, like I said, go out of my way to find.
All right, CJ.
All right. Another thing, I love me some George Carlin. If I see it come up while I'm going through Netflix, I'll probably watch it. But especially like some of his later ones, he started seeming a little contradictory and a bit preachy. And that kind of got to me. Is like, how you gonna tell me not to listen to what other people tell me what to do with my life when you sitting there trying to tell me what to do with my life? Like, I don't know. It's just he just got so just like, no, this is how you should be doing it. This is how you should be living. You should, don't listen to these people, but listen to me. Don't do this. I don't know. It's just, Towards the end, he started kind of getting on my nerves a bit. He was getting kind of judgy. It was his comedy was like way more judgy than funny.
All right. So it's my comedian. So I'm gonna go. And before I pick my name, I wanted to give shout outs to people that wasn't mentioned. I know Evan said Richard Pryor. And I know I said Robert Williams, but there's a lot of other
Jeff Foxworthy.
Jeff Foxworthy.
Eddie Murphy,
Bernie Mac,
Chris Rock,
Martin Lawrence, Chris Tucker,
George Lopez. George Lopez. Hey, he's got
he's funny as shit.
He's got some very specific style comedy because it's aimed more at Hispanic people, but I find it funnier than shit.
Oh, yeah, he's hilarious.
George Lopez. Some other people don't realize too, because I almost before if I didn't pick one that I was going to pick, I was going to pick Hannibal Buress.
Whack.
People over
whack.
What the fuck wrong with you?
No, it's Hannibal Buress has that little meme where he has his eyes closed and he's going black.
He always have his eyes. He always look high.
Quick question for you: have any of you guys watched America's Got Talent?
Yes, I watched every season.
Okay, shout out to a comedian by the name of Preacher Lawson. He is
Preacher
one of the funniest fucking dudes I've ever seen, and he got robbed of a victory by a fucking ventriloquist 12-year-old. But Preacher, I almost picked Preacher Lawson.
Don't work with animals or children.
He's too new. Yeah. But Preacher Lawson is one of, in my opinion, the best up and coming comedians in the country. Same with DC Young Fly, because a lot of people don't know who DC Young Fly is because he's on the Cannon Show Wild 'N Out. But I love DC Young Fly. So
I've never seen his stand up though.
He hasn't had a stand up special yet, but he's that kind of comedic person to where he's going in that direction. But I just shout out to the young comedians of this generation because, performing arts is kind of becoming a dead passion because YouTube is real. People rather put stuff on YouTube than go to a theatrical school to become good on stage or try and work their way up on open mic nights. So shout out to the young comedians in this world because there are a lot of good talent that just don't get the exposure that all these other guys got.
I know they say the young people, but I want to go back to older too. Like I said, Cat Williams, Red Fox.
Cat Williams, man.
Cat Williams, Red
Fox. Funniest thing I ever saw was
Kevin Pops.
Yeah, Kevin or Cat Williams when he was doing his every day I'm hustling. Oh my God, that was one of the first things I saw of him, and it was funny.
So, but my comedian is my favorite comedian of all time. I will say that I think that he's the greatest of all time. Uh, Dave Chappelle. Dave Chappelle is to me the greatest comedian of all time. Before I go into his accolades, I would like to say that CJ, your comedian, it was on a podcast, Joe Rogan's podcast, and said that Dave Chappelle is the greatest comedian of all time.
I actually listened to that one.
Yeah, that is literally out of his words. Dave Chappelle does have they say he loves George Carlin. He took some stuff from George Carlin, but Dave Chappelle stand-ups from 2000 to now, every last single one of them is hilarious. The Chappelle Show, fantastic. Some of his movies are cult classics.
Half Baked. Oh.
Half Baked is cult classic. All right. Robin Hood Men in Tights. Cult classics. All right. There's really nothing. Kevin Hart said this before. There's really nothing Dave cannot do, and he won't pander to Hollywood. He literally stopped the Chappelle Show because they wanted to change what he was doing. He didn't want to change it. Okay, he's true to himself. He's hilarious. I love Dave Chappelle. That is my answer. Evan, you're first.
Oh, so. Caught me with my mouth full. So I like Dave Chappelle. I really do. I think Dave Chappelle's a great comedian. My favorite Dave Chappelle skit ever, and it's kind of relevant now what's going on, was the racial draft. Mm-hmm. That was one of my favorite skits of all time. Just because he was that guy who wasn't afraid to be like, let's play with race. You know, as the black delegation, let's trade for a white man, or let's trade a white man away from the white delegation. It was so funny at the time, and it was bold at the time. And it's so funny that it's relevant nowadays. You know, he introduced the world to Charlie Murphy. Realistically, that's the first time I'd ever seen Charlie Murphy, me personally. And
he's so young.
I'm 27. Y'all are all fucking fossils to me. Okay. But, it's, for me personally, it's hard to say, and I know I chose Gabriel Iglesias as mine. It's hard to put Dave Chappelle above somebody like Richard Pryor. I think Dave Chappelle is top 5 all time. I think he's top 3 all time. But it's hard for me to replace anybody with like Richard Pryor or something like that, just because it's so hard that Dave Chappelle was just so, like, he was so transcendent in terms of he just didn't give a fuck. He brought that mentality of like, I'm going to do me whether you like it or not. So it's a double-edged sword trying to critique Dave Chappelle as well as trying to praise him, because he's good.
I can do it.
So before I let CJ go, everyone keep going to, when people think about Dave Chappelle Show, everyone goes to Charlie Murphy's Prince, or Charlie Murphy's Rick James, the racial draft. But my all-time favorite skit from the Dave Chappelle Show is when he.
I know exactly which one it is.
When he made Ghetto Sesame Street. Ghetto Sesame Street is hilarious. A little story.
Oh, Knee High Park, bro.
A little story, right? So we're watching this. I went to a boarding school, Mount Hershey, and my house parents decided to watch the Chappelle Show with us for the first time. That episode, right? We never watched the episode before. All right, we didn't know what's coming. All right, and a part of the episode which should have shut the whole thing down, but didn't. When the puppet said, I got a STD or STI, something like that, STD on my penis, and the little girl asked, "What's a penis?" And then the puppet pulled his pants down and showed his whole dick with discharge. We all got in trouble for that. They shut the whole TV experience down for us because it shut us down. Right? That's shit that Dave Chappelle does, and it's hilarious. So I just had to tell that story. All right, CJ's on you.
All right. Don't get me wrong. I love me some Dave Chappelle, and I've seen every episode of the Chappelle Show at least 10 or 15 times. Love him. But with that being said, I can't consider him like the greatest comedian of all time. Like, out of the 4 comedians chosen, he's the only one who didn't sell out Madison Square Garden. Now that is like, I consider like the greatest comedian of all time. Being a comedian that's actually trying to work. Now we were talking about like, who's like the greatest comedian at taking breaks? Oh yeah, that's him all day. Yeah, he's like the Bobby Brown of comedian. Like he could take him a hell of a vacation. I'll put out this one album. Now just chill for a decade or so. That's how I see it working. He's been good. When he pops up, whenever he just shows up, he's great, fantastic. But then then he disappears again. Like, where the fuck he go? I just can't see him at the greatest of all time.
All right, Joe. So you.
I have to respect him for. I can't believe you made the pull of Robin Hood Men in Tights, because that's like way old when Cary Elwes was still bankable. And the line I remember from that is Robin Hood said, "I'd like to appoint a new sheriff. Why not? It worked in Blazing Saddles." Like, love that. And my favorite skit is the Wayne Brady one. It's
Wayne Brady.
What's that one where he becomes a reporter and he puts the white face on?
Right. And I like when he took his break, like you were talking about, he actually went back to where he lives, Ohio, and went to live in Yellow Springs, which is where Antioch College is, the most liberal place in Ohio. And that's actually why I can't pick him, because I'm mad at him. Why did you? And I can't even really be mad at him. I'm kind of faux mad at him. But when you're a performer, we expect a certain thing of you. And when you take a break and you do personal things, that's not what we expect.
How dare they?
I know.
He left this. That's what I'm saying. He left this.
It's like if you're in a relationship with somebody and they left you and it was actually good because you both had to go your separate ways, but there's still this little part of you that's like, what if they hadn't done that? Like, so I can't really complain about it, but God damn it, why didn't he keep doing the show?
But people have to realize that
I know
he had to do it. They felt in his bones that he had to leave. He had to go to Africa to get away from all this bullshit that he did. I mean, I know that the Chappelle show only has two and a half seasons. Okay, but those 2.5 seasons revolutionized TV. Period.
And you can name like 10 things that are on Comedy Central now that would not have been there if he hadn't done that show.
Damn right.
I truthfully think South Park wouldn't be as big as it is if it wasn't for Dave Chappelle trying to push the boundaries of what you could put on TV.
Mm-hmm.
Realistically, I mean, there would be no like skit shows. Like Saturday Night Live was the originator, but there'd be like no like edgy kind of skit shows if it wasn't for
like Key and Peele,
the Chappelle show. Exactly. Like I even attributed that to like some of the segments they do on Wild 'N Out in terms of trying to get the funny out of it. I was like, you could blatantly see Nick Cannon's trying hard to be like as revolutionary as that, but.
I mean, not even black. Like Taj Point, no. I mean, Taj even said that he got part of that show is from the Chappelle show.
Yeah. Oh, exactly. And Taj Point is, I think, the most successful Comedy Central show of all time.
Probably, we're somewhere around there. And so, man, listen. So, man, those are the four comedians that we like, man. And I mean, shout out to all the other comedians, like we said. But these are the 4 we like. All right. With that being said, this has been another episode of Versus. And these are my friends. Say goodbye, friends.
Goodbye. Peace. Stay safe.
I hope to see you guys next week if I make it and I don't eat myself to death.
It's your boy CJ, a.k.a. Easy Lover.
Goodbye, everybody.